Morning all and welcome back once again to I Like Watches. In today's video I'm going to be showing you a beautiful Geckota Pioneer, the Red Edition. I believe this is limited to 100 watches per dial variation. So there's 100 of these watches with this particular dial, and this is watch number 50 of 100. It's a sort of vintage retro inspired casual dress watch. Reminds me a little bit of the Accurist Retro Racer, but obviously this is not a chronograph watch, although I do believe they make a chronograph version, a very similar looking watch with a couple of sub-dials on the main dial. But yeah, very nice looking watch. At the moment it's retailing for £399, although there is a sort of aquamarine or a sort of teal blue color dial version discounted at the moment. I think it's £199. So yeah, if you love a deal, that might be worth taking a look at. And yeah, there's lots of other watches in their sale tab, but this particular version of this watch is not currently discounted. But yeah, looks good. Let's get into it. So I thought on this occasion I'd start by showing you the watch on my roughly average sized wrist, because when I was unboxing this watch I was just a little bit surprised at the size and weight of it. I knew already it was a 42mm diameter case, and I also already knew that squarish sort of cased watches like this do tend to wear a little bit bigger than their dimensions suggest. But yeah, it was just, well, just a little bit bigger looking and feeling than I thought it was going to be. But actually on my roughly average sized wrist, it doesn't look oversized or too big. It's definitely a watch with some presence, but they say on their website, this is a watch to wear to be noticed. And yeah, with it being fully polished as well, I think people are going to notice it. So yeah, very comfortable. I've had to have a little fiddle with the leather strap. Beautiful leather straps. Obviously, they make incredible straps. And yeah, with it being such a good quality strap, it was obviously a touch stiff straight out the box. So I've had a little fiddle with it, and yeah, now it's conforming to my wrist very, very nicely. What do you think? Let me know in the comments section. Right, let's have a good look at this watch, and if we can, at least, we're going to start without too many fingerprints on this case, because with it being a fully polished case and case back, oh, look, there's already fingerprints on it. I've already just wiped it. Yeah, it's going to be susceptible to a few marks and, well, potentially scratches, especially that case back. Obviously, when you put it down, even on a surface like this, which is fairly soft and forgiving, you are going to pick up scratches, but yeah, beautifully finished. Look, it sort of doubles as a makeup mirror. Hello. Geckota, number 50 out of 100. Look, 147EF. Not sure what that means. But yeah, screw down case back and a screw down crown. I believe it's 100 meters of water resistance. NH35 inside of this watch. So automatic movement beating at 21,600 beats per hour, hacks and hand winds. Yeah, so 6 ticks per second for the second hand, and yeah, quite a large dial with large hands, but tiny little circular pips at 1, 2, 4, 5, 7, 8 and 10, 11, but fairly decent sized markers at 12, 3 and 6 and 9. Look, yeah, fully polished, and I like the two-tone crown, actually. That is a nice touch. It sort of brings the colour of those markers and the hands into the rest of the watch, doesn't it? Because they are a sort of gilt gold colour, look. Very, very nice. I'll test the crystal in a moment. Beautiful dial. You've got those crosshairs on it. A minute track around the outside. Yeah, it is a good-looking watch, and as I've mentioned already, their straps are beautiful. You can see already it's starting to form to my wrist, and I've not worn it too much. So yeah, this is going to be a very long lasting and durable and comfortable leather strap. Lots of padding near the case. Look, yeah, I love their straps, actually. Polished buckle. I'll give you the dimensions and the weight when I test the crystal. But yeah, the finishing is nice. No brushing on it at all. Look, fully polished. Let me zoom in a little bit. And I'll give it another wipe so you don't have to stare at my thumbprints all over it. Let me try to get rid of that without touching the case. Yeah, and there is a close-up of the dial. And the hands, how close can I get before it starts to lose focus? Oh, no, we're still in focus. That's pretty cool. Yeah, very nice. Interesting hands, aren't they? The hour hand doesn't have the typical sort of Mercedes markers on it. But actually it works for this watch. I've seen a Spinnaker with similar hands and it just didn't seem to work. But yeah, on this dial, with this particular shaped hour hand, I think it actually looks a lot better than it did on the Spinnaker watch. The smaller markers, obviously, helping it to look a little bit more sort of vintage and retro inspired. Same as the crosshairs on the dial and that vintage looking sort of fading dial. It's a good looking watch, absolutely no doubt about it. And there's a close up of the crown, the Geckota G on it, and you can see the polishing on the side of the case is also very nicely done. I'm not really seeing any sort of streaking or any evidence of poor finishing on the polished surfaces. It all looks pretty flat and mirror-like, doesn't it? Until, of course, you get your fingerprints and your thumbprints all over it. But yeah, very, very nice. All drilled lugs as well. Sweet. Crystal is double domed. It will be sapphire crystal. I'm almost certain of it, but I will test it in a moment. But yeah, sort of subtle box crystal, isn't it? It protrudes a little bit from that fully polished bezel. Decent sized crown, lots of grip on this crown, no issues whatsoever. There is a ghost position on the crown because the crown because the NH35 has a date complication, and obviously there's no date on the dial. So a bit of a shame that they've not sourced the NH38, which is the no date version of the NH35, but crown positions don't tend to bother too many people. There are some people out there that just will not buy a watch if the crown has a ghost position, but on the whole, it doesn't seem to impact the watches too much. Yeah, nice. I like it. And there is a close-up of the leather strap. You can just tell these are very nice quality straps. Italian leather, handmade. And yeah, it does feel like a very, very nice strap. Right, let's give you some dimensions, and I'm going to be very, very careful because this watch has to go back. I've only borrowed it, and believe it or not, calipers like this can put little marks onto polished steel. Steel is actually quite soft and very, very easy to scratch, but there you go, confirmation of the width of the case. Including the crystal, it's 14.2 millimeters thick. Lug to lug, 48.9, 8, 9. And 22mm lugs. On the supplied strap, it weighs 103 grams. So yeah, confirmation of its size and weight. Right, let's test the crystal, and it is sapphire crystal, and there is a blue AR coating on it. Look, you can see that sort of blue hue across the face of the crystal. Right, let's test out the lume. Well, there's the initial lume burst, blue BGW9. Now let's let the clock run down for 5 minutes and see how much it degrades. Well, there you go. Confirmation that the lume is pretty good. A decent application on the hands. It looks a little bit stronger on the hands than it does the applied indices, but then you'd want it that way around because obviously you need the hands to tell the time. Yeah, a little bit of degradation over the 5 minutes, but still very, very visible. Yeah, definitely good lume. Right, guys, that is the Geckota Pioneer Red Edition. Let me know in the comments section what you think of this watch, and as always, a massive thank you from me to you for tuning in. Cheers, guys.